and I am going to go ahead and pass it over to Lenny.
All right. Thank you, Taylor. As I said, my name's Lenny Miret. I'm the Mountain Keepers steward coordinator for this season. In 2021, I started with Mountain Keeper as one of the original two stewards of the Catskill Park Trail Steward Program. And I returned this past summer as a steward. At the end of the season, I assumed the coordinator role. So it's been great so far, and I'm really happy to be a part of Mountain Keeper in the coordinator role. In today's presentation, we're going to explore the Catskill Park's history, unique ecosystems, and examine the natural resources at stake. We're also going to highlight how Mountain Keeper's steward program and conservation efforts are working to protect this treasured region for generations to come. Catskill Mountains hold profound and cultural environmental significance. For thousands of years, they were home to the indigenous peoples, including the Lenape, who saw the land as sacred and lived in harmony with its abundant resources. Early European settlers were drawn to the area for its fertile valleys and timber, which reshaped the landscape while establishing communities that persist today. The region's rugged beauty, its dense forests, cascading streams, and dramatic mountain vistas captivated artists and writers during the 19th century, also inspiring the Hudson River School of painters and literary greats like Washington Irving, who wrote Rip Van Winkle. This romantic portrayal of the Catskills cemented its place as a cradle of American art and environmental consciousness. Today, the Catskills continue to be a source of inspiration and haven for biodiversity, reminding us of the vital need to preserve its natural and cultural heritage for future generations. Next slide, please. So, over 400 million years ago, this region was not a mountain range at all, but the edge of a vast inland sea. Ancient rivers carried sand and silt from long vanished highlands to form a massive delta where sediments slowly hardened into layers of sandstone and shale. Later, the land was uplifted, and over many millennia, wind, rain, and ice carved the land into the current topography that we're seeing today. The last ice age shaped the landscape even further. Glaciers scoured valleys, left behind boulder fields, and carved waterfalls like the famous Catskill Falls. These forces created the dramatic contrasts we're seeing. This intense change in geology over time has nurtured the Catskills' ecological richness. Today, you can find forests of hemlock, maple, and birch, along with hundreds of plant species. There's over 120 different species of birds and a variety of mammals, reptiles, and amphibians. Some of my favorite include the fisher and the bald eagle. Very cool animals. Next slide, please. So this slide kind of just introduced the beauty of the Catskills. Two locations here I was fortunate enough to take the pictures for. The first one is, I believe, Biscuit Brook Falls. I took that one towards at the end of last summer. And then this last one here on the right is Big Pond in October, I highly recommend it to anybody who's in the area or can travel there. It's beautiful with the fall foliage. So yeah, definitely recommend that. The Catskill Mountains play a critical ecological role in maintaining environmental health and sustainability. As part of the Appalachian Mountain Range, the region serves as a vital watershed, providing clean drinking water to over 9 million people in New York City through its pristine reservoirs and natural filtration systems. This reliance on unfiltered water emphasizes the importance of protecting the Catskills forests and wetlands, which naturally purify water by trapping sediments, absorbing pollutants, and regulating flow. The Catskills also contribute to cleaner air through dense forests, which act as carbon sinks, absorbing carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen while mitigating the effects of climate change. The diverse habitats support a wide array of plant and animal species, including rare and endangered ones like the monarch butterfly. This biodiversity strengthens ecosystems, providing resilience against environmental challenges. So by safeguarding the Catskills, we are protecting a region that is not only vital for its ecological services, but also for the well-being of communities, both local and distant, who depend on its natural resources. The Catskill Mountains are a crucial natural resource with a lot at stake, including biodiversity and ecosystem health, water supply for millions, as I just stated, climate resilience, and economic and cultural significance. Next slide, please. Oh, hold up, having a little technical difficulty here. Just give me 1 minute. Yeah, so the Catskills are facing several pressing environmental threats, mainly due to invasive species, climate change, and human impacts. And we'll go over those in these next slide here. So there's many invasive species in the Catskills. The biggest ones we're seeing are the hemlock woody adelgid, spotted lanternfly, Japanese knotweed, and the emerald ash borer. These species disrupt ecosystems, harm native biodiversity, and affect both environmental health and local economies. So the hemlock woody adelgid attacks eastern hemlocks, which is a foundational tree species in the Catskills. This leads to widespread tree mortality. The hemlocks provide shade that regulates stream temperatures and supports aquatic ecosystems. The loss of the hemlocks also disrupts habitats for wildlife, increases soil erosion, and alters water quality. Um, if you want to spot some hemlock woody adelgid, you would approach a hemlock tree, grab the needles, and flip them upside down. And as you can see, there's these little white, I guess you'd call them woolly balls, and that is a sure sign of the hemlock woody adelgid. The emerald ash borer infests and kills ash trees by feeding on the inner bark, which cuts off nutrient flow. This ash tree loss affects forest composition, wildlife habitats, and industries reliant on ash wood, such as baseball bat manufacturing. Japanese knotweed aggressively invades riparian areas, outcompeting native vegetation. This reduces biodiversity, destabilizes stream banks, and increases the risk of erosion and flooding. Fun fact, you can use Japanese knotweed to create flutes. And there's, I think, quite a few videos on YouTube where you can learn how to do that. I'm myself trying to figure that out at the moment. Another one is the spotted lanternfly. We aren't seeing much of that kind of in our neck of the woods down here in the Beaverkill Valley area, but that is prevalent in other parts of the Catskills. The spotted lanternfly feeds on a variety of plants, including grapevines, fruit trees, and hardwoods, by sucking sap and excreting honeydew, which promotes mold growth. This poses a significant threat to agriculture and native plant communities. Efforts to combat these invasive species include public education, early detection, manual removal, biocontrol programs, and policies aimed at preventing their spread. Safeguarding the Catskills from these requires continued vigilance and community involvement. So from there, we're going to talk about the areas of human impact, including development and urbanization, recreational impact, water resource strain, and climate change. Human activities have significantly impacted the Catskills, which threaten the ecological balance and cultural heritage. Development and urbanization can include overscale and inappropriately sited development, which threatens the character of the Catskills. Overdevelopment of the Catskills can be glamping resorts, overpacked housing developments, mega warehouses, and more. And these fragment forests and habitats. Wildlife corridors are also disrupted, biodiversity declines, and water quality is affected by the increased runoff and pollution from these projects. Another area of human impact would be tourism and recreation. Um, these things are very important to the region, but it's also important that we maintain the balance of promoting responsible tourism and recreation and making sure the park will be healthy and thriving for generations to come. Overuse of trails, campsites, and waterways by visitors can lead to erosion, littering, and damage to vegetation. The high foot traffic degrades ecosystems and diminishes the natural beauty of the region. Another big one is climate change. So rising temperatures, unpredictable weather patterns, and extreme storms stress ecosystems and human communities. Changes in precipitation affect the Catskills' role as a vital watershed and disrupt seasonal cycles and threatens species adapted to specific conditions. So if you guys remember, last summer we had the wildfires here in the Catskill Park due to being in a drought. So that's one of the big reasons why climate change can be so devastating is we're seeing problems like wildfires. Agriculture and land use threatens some farming practices, including deforestation, and pesticide use. They contribute to habitat loss and water pollution. Regenerative farming practices help to maintain health of critical farmland in the region, but uninformed practices can jeopardize the health of the park. Fertilizer runoff promotes harmful algal blooms in waterways, while soil erosion reduces land fertility. We just talked about it, but invasive species are a lot of the time are introduced by humans. So human activity often spreads invasive species through transportation, trade, and recreation. The invasive plants and pests outcompete native species, alter ecosystems, and harm the region's natural resilience. Another area of human impact would be logging and resource extraction. While it is heavily regulated today, past logging practices, clear-cutting forests, and remnants of these activities still affect the landscape. Loss of mature forests diminishes carbon sequestration, affects habitats, and changes the water cycles. Lastly, the cultural and historic site neglect is sort of a problem that we're seeing. Modern development and lack of preservation efforts sometimes overshadow the importance of cultural landmarks and indigenous heritage. Valuable cultural narratives and historic structures are at risk of being lost. So that's also something we need to keep in mind. Addressing these impacts requires sustainable development practices, environmental education, and policies that balance human activity with the need to protect the Catskills' ecological and cultural integrity. Yeah, you can go ahead and move to the next one, Taylor. Thank you. So here we're going to talk about the Stewards program. It was established in 2018 as a response to issues caused by overuse at the Pikamoose Blue Hole, which is in the Sundown Valley. And the Catskill Stewards program since then has continued to grow. Now located at many high-use sites throughout the Catskills and 6 Catskill Park fire towers, Catskill Visitor Center stewards, along with Mountainkeeper stewards, work to help visitors understand the importance of responsible recreation in the outdoors. The goal of the steward program is to promote leave no trace outdoor ethics, promote sustainable recreation, and remind visitors of the Catskill Park to think about how their actions affect the environment. As I said, each of our stewards are trained in leave no trace and are certified in wilderness first aid, so they are prepared to be out there and help anyone in need. And they're the friendly faces that visitors first encounter when they hit the trails. They're also the eyes and ears for the DEC while also acting as effective data collectors. As I mentioned before, Mountainkeeper originally started with 2 stewards in 2021, and the program has been so successful that we've been able to take on 2 more stewards since then. This has allowed us to better combat the rising negative effects of outdoor recreation, and it's provided more of a conservation presence in the places where people are recreating the most. And if you see here, we have a short little video we're going to show you guys that was made by one of our previous stewards, Ivy, that kind of shows you the day in the life of a Catskill Mountainkeeper steward. So Taylor, if you want to go ahead.
The watershed is responsible for providing 9 million people with clean drinking water. My name is Johi, and I'm a steward with Catskill Mountainkeeper. Our #1 job in the Catskill Park is to assist the DEC and forest rangers by monitoring trails, campsites, and reminding people to leave no trace. My favorite part of being a steward is educating visitors about how incredibly biodiverse the Catskills are and how important it is for us humans to keep this habitat as pristine as possible.
It's just good to take a little mental break every once in a while. My name is Roberto, and what I share as a steward with many of our visitors is the immense health benefits of nature. Not only the physical benefits, but also the psychological benefits and how rewarding it can be to just get outside, take a deep breath, and breathe clean air.
My name is Lenny. What I find most rewarding about being a trail steward is that we're increasing value to the visitor experience, whether it's providing something as simple as directions or administering first aid. I know we're making an impact in keeping people safe and protecting a critically important habitat that we get to call home. And we hope to see you in the Catskills.
So yeah, if you guys want to see that video, it is on YouTube. That was definitely a really fun day to film that. So moving on. um, Throughout the years, Mountain Keeper stewards have been stationed at high use areas in the Catskills, including Alder Lake, Beaverkill Covered Bridge, Big Pond, and the Neversink fishing access. At each location, stewards collect data on the number of visitors they see, number of dogs, popular activities by the hour, and other location-specific info. Visitor density and activities really depend on the month. In spring, we see a lot of people fishing and hiking. Summer brings a large amount of swimmers and people using green spaces for picnics and barbecues. During the fall is when things really start to get quiet and visitors are mostly hiking, enjoying the foliage, or just kind of driving around taking pictures. And all the data that is gathered by the stewards is crucial in understanding how each area is being used and impacted. So in these next few slides, we'll take a look at some of the data from this summer from each location. So our first location is Alder Lake. Alder Lake's 45 acres with 1.3 miles of shoreline. Surrounding the lake is a 2.4-mile loop trail, along with many more miles of trails to surrounding mountains. It also has around 7 primitive walk-in campsites surrounding the lake. So far this summer, our stewards have counted 1,493 visitors to this location, which is almost twice as much as last year. These numbers are definitely rough because we're not there every day, so we're gonna miss some people. So it's safe to say that it's had quite a few more visitors than that number there. This location is definitely one of the busier ones in the area due to its accessibility and abundant resources. Popular activities here include swimming, camping, and hiking. One problem we are seeing here is trash being left at the campsites and in the parking lot. Thankfully, there is an assistant forest ranger that is stationed here each summer along with our stewards, so there is a heavy conservation presence here on weekends when it is most busy. Moving on to the Beaverkill Covered Bridge. It's by far one of the most popular recreation destinations in the Beaverkill Valley from May to October. So far this summer, our stewards have counted 3,504 visitors since May, which is over 400 more people than last year. And as I said, that number is just a rough estimate, so we can only expect that we had more visitors this year. This location is popular among tourists also due to its ease of accessibility. It's a major recreation destination for tourists who want to swim and barbecue in a family-friendly environment. In the spring and fall, it's very, very popular among fishermen. The biggest problems we're seeing at the covered bridge are small amounts of trash being left on the beach and in picnic areas, along with barbecue coals being dumped to the side. Unfortunately, these coals are still lit when people are dumping them, so they kind of scar the landscape and become an eyesore. So we're trying to combat that through education and really reminding people not to do those things. Moving on to Big Pond. So Big Pond is a 51 acres with 1.5 miles of shoreline and around 8 primitive walk-in and paddle-in campsites. Popular activities here include fishing, swimming, and camping. Since May, the stewards have counted 952 visitors, which is right around how many people visited last year. This might not seem like much compared to Alder and Covered Bridge, but the areas used by visitors at Big Pond are far smaller and are being impacted at a large rate. So that amount of people in such a small place is really detrimental to that environment. The biggest problem here is also trash. And with trash comes bears. So there has been reports of bears becoming more frequent in the area. And with that, sometimes bears start to become aggressive because that they know since there's trash that there's probably food. And if they're not getting food in a place where they expect food, then they kind of get a little mad. So when that happens, drastic measures sometimes have to be taken. This is why leaving trash in nature is such an important issue, and we really try to combat it. Moving on from there is the Neversink fishing access. It's the smallest of all our locations. It's a short stretch of the Neversink River with a very small parking lot and day use area. So far for this summer, the stewards have tallied 521 visitors, surpassing last year's total at this time of 286. So this location is definitely becoming more popular among people looking for a place to swim and barbecue. Common problems we're seeing at this location, again, is lots of trash. There's signage and Our stewards are there quite a bit, so we're really trying to combat that. But at the end of the day, it's just people need to think about the things that they're bringing in. They need to bring them out as well. The DC is actually another problem we're seeing is illegal fire pits and campsites. So the DEC has combated this by putting up a large amount of signage that discourages visitors from doing this. And so far it's been successful, and the stewards have seen a big decrease in illegal campsites and fires. So that is a win right there. Moving on to advantages of conservation. So we've talked a little about each location and the problems we're seeing. But now we'll discuss why a protected Catskills benefits local tourism, economy, and the health of surrounding communities. So some advantages to conservation would be protection of biodiversity, clean water supply, reduction of flood risk, climate regulation, and carbon sequestration, economic benefits through ecotourism, preservation of scenic beauty and cultural heritage, enhanced soil and air quality, and recreation and mental health benefits. That is a big one. So through conservation, we can ensure that we're leaving a sustainable and thriving ecosystem for future generations. This, reading this slide really reminds me of a trip I took to the Museum of Natural History in New York City, in which I saw a big plaque of a Kenyan proverb that said, "Treat the earth well. It was not given to you by your parents. It was loaned to you by your children." I love this proverb, and it really emphasizes environmental stewardship by reminding us that we have a temporary responsibility to care for the planet on behalf of future generations, rather than a permanent ownership that allows for exploitation. People can take many actions to help preserve the Catskills, whether as residents, visitors, or supporters of conservation efforts. And these are some of the most effective ways individuals can contribute. So number one, practicing responsible recreation. That is one of the biggest ones. That would be, so you could follow the Leave No Trace outdoor ethics. There's 7 principles of Leave No Trace. I encourage you all to research those and try to adapt them and teach them to others. That's a huge way we try to educate the public. Number 2, support conservation organizations. Mountain Keeper, we're trying to help you guys out, so we love all the support we can get. 3, promoting sustainable tourism. So again, kind of following the Leave No Trace outdoor ethics. Number 4, advocating for conservation policies. 5, protecting water resources. 6, combating invasive species. 7, reducing your carbon footprint. 8, educating others. That's a big one. 9, planting native species. That is a huge help to the bee population and can really make a bee population thrive. 10, you can also participate in citizen science. And finally, 11, supporting reforestation and habitat restoration. So these are all very good ways to assist in conservation. So with that, I'd like to take this opportunity to let you guys know that we're having an event this Saturday. Anyone is invited, any age, any ability. We're doing a cleanup at Big Pond on the 6th this Saturday for Catskill Park Day. We did this last year and removed many bags of trash, a couple 100 pounds. And as I said before, Big Pond has been hit hard this summer, so we could use all the help we can get. This center photo here, it was taken by our ranger, I think a few weeks ago. So I'm sure we're going to see some trash there. So I strongly encourage anyone, if you're able to, come on down to Big Pond this Saturday and help us out. All right, so lastly, I just want to discuss Mountain Keeper's vision for the future. Mountain Keeper aims for a vision of the Catskill Park and region where the natural environment is protected and all communities are ecologically and socioeconomically vibrant for present and future generations. We can definitely achieve this vision by coordinating a systems approach to advocacy that recognizes environmental, economic, and human interdependence by integrating environmental justice principles, including but not limited to racial equity, transparency, inclusivity, engaging in allyship, and recognizing our shared vision and mission cannot be accomplished without effective partnerships and coalitions that reflect the needs and desires of those living and working in the Catskills. So the Steward program is really a key aspect of this. It allows for us to gather all the data we need and send it to the DEC so we can all kind of just collaborate and figure out what problems we're seeing in the Catskill Park and how to solve them. So with that, perfect timing. I was going to say, if anyone has any questions, feel free. You can unmute yourself or ask them in the chat, and we will try to answer them to the best of our ability. And Sylvia, so where is Big Pond? Big Pond is in, I don't want to say Andes. Taylor, what's the exact town?
Yep, it's in Andes. It's
Oh, it
right
is.
on the border in Andes, right before Delaware County and right after Lou Beach. So really close to Livingston Manor too.
Yes, and there should be if you want to register for the event on Saturday, there should be a address there listed that you can go to. It should be some coordinates. And if you want, please feel free to reach out to us. I believe our contact info can be found online or somewhere here. But yeah, does anyone else have any other questions? No?
In the chat, I just put my email address as well as Lenny's. Really appreciate folks taking the time to join us this evening. We will stick around if anyone has any questions that, yeah. And before I even do that, John, I see your hand.
Thank you. I'm a rather newcomer to this area, and I think you guys do wonderful things. Thank you very much. Um, can you make a recommendation on a good place to put a kayak in water in your service area?
That is a great question, and welcome to the area, John. Um, Depends. How much paddling experience do you have?
I've done a lot over the years, so I know how to do self rescues and that kind of thing.
Okay.
I do like the relaxing bird watching. I'm not looking for any white water kind of stuff.
Okay. So I would definitely recommend either Big Pond or Alder Lake. I think Alder Lake might be a little hard to get. Well, let me back up. You can definitely get a boat, a kayak, or a canoe into Alder Lake. It's just going to be more of a hike to get it down to the water. But that is a beautiful area to paddle. A lot of different things to look at. But if it were me, I would prefer Big Pond because you can kind of park right next to the pond, and it's only a short walk to bring your boat down. And there's plenty of fish to see swimming around, lots of newts, and my favorite is there are two bald eagles that have been living there for years now that you can see quite often. So I would definitely recommend Big Pond as a good option for that.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thanks for asking. Anyone else have any other questions? Anything at all?
Yeah, that was a great question, John. Lenny, as he mentioned, has been a steward and is now our steward coordinator. So he spent lots of time in the park, has a lot of firsthand knowledge of these places. So we're happy to stick around if anyone has any other questions. We really appreciate your time and appreciate folks taking some space this evening to learn about our Steward program, to learn a little bit more about the park and a little bit more about what Mountainkeeper's doing. So at this point, I will stop the recording. But as I said, Lenny and I are